doors open. We were getting ready to do the engine bay, and then I happened to remember that our coolant reservoir is up here at the top. Might as well go ahead and talk about that first. Which, since we can't see the reservoir, again, you're gonna have to kind of go by memory. Check my coolant reservoir, which is not cracked, bent, or broken. We would use a sight glass to check the level. If there is no sight glass, which in this case we don't, we wait for our engine to cool down, remove the cap, and we would check the level visually. In this case, really is no checking it except for I believe there's a gauge on the inside of the engine bay. But as long as you come here and talk about it from this point, you'll be fine. So now we'll go ahead to the inside, and you can see you have a water temperature gauge here. And we don't have to call that one out though, I was just taking a look at it. We'll call out the one during the in-cab inspection. Now, a few parts have changed on the inside here. One thing that I always like to do is just go ahead and get the belts out of the way. So at this point I'm going to check all my belts. Not cracked, dry rotted, or broken. No more than 1/4 inch of play when I press in the center for a VA. And then it's going to be 3/4 or 3/4 inch play for Maryland or DC. And of course this one right here, don't get worried, it looks a little loose. Once you get to a certain air pressure and the bus is ready to take off, the pulley actually pulls that up, and it puts some tension on it. Exactly. So, checked all my belts. At this point I'm going to check my water pump housing for my water pump. This is my water pump, not cracked, bent, or broken. All bolts are present. I don't see any evidence of leaks, and obviously you don't see a belt nowhere near this thing, so it's going to be a gear driven water pump. So my water pump's not cracked, bent, or broken. I see no leaks, and it's gear driven. It's gear driven. I'm also going to check my oil dipstick at this point. My oil dipstick, if I were to pull it out, wipe it off, reinsert it, pull it back out and check the level, I would do that daily. And if it was low, I'd refill it here in the oil fill tube. And the tubes are not cracked, bent, or broken, and I don't see any evidence of leaks. Okay, now we got a coolant line here. I got a coolant line coming from the reservoir, and the metal portion is not cracked, bent, or broken. The rubber portion right here is not cracked, dry rotted, or broken. The fittings are tight, and I don't see any leaks. Same thing here with this one. This is another coolant line. Same metal portion's not cracked, bent, or broken. The rubber's not cracked or dry rotted. Fittings are tight, and I don't see any leaks. This pipe over here, this is going to be air intake. It's not the metal portion is not cracked, bent, or broken. My clamps not cracked, bent, or broken, and all bolts are present. Of course, I don't see any black soot or anything that would indicate any cracks or holes or any excuse me, let me rephrase that. I don't see any cracks or holes. I don't see any evidence of leaks, and the intake's metal portion is not cracked, bent, or broken. My clamps are tight, and no missing hardware, no missing bolts. This section right here, this is actually an exhaust manifold. You won't have to check this. I believe that's all we're gonna, oh, pardon me. Right here, power steering. We can't see the reservoir, but we do see the dipstick. So, my power steering reservoir, you still want to talk about it even though you can't see it. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. All bolts are present. I don't see any leaks. And if I were to check the level, I'm going to check the level here with the dipstick. I'd pull it out, wipe it off, reinsert it, pull it back out, and check the level. I do this on a daily basis. If I found out it was low, you can also refill your power steering right here as well. And the tube's not cracked, bent, or broken with no leaks. Okay, so from this point, now keep in mind, I didn't forget about the air compressor. The air compressor actually has to be called out from inside the bus. But we do got to go around here to the side, on the driver's side, and check the transmission dipstick, which will be behind this door here. Just so you get a bigger view of where I'm at on the bus. We're on the driver's side, on this rear door here, behind this panel, you're going to find your generator, not alternator, your generator, and your air filter as well, and your transmission dipstick. Okay, so basically this part here that you can see, if you can see it, let's see if I can get a better view for you. That's your generator right here. Your generator's not cracked, bent, or broken. All bolts are present, and I do believe that's gear driven. And if you see this pipe or tube coming up from here, that's your transmission dipstick for your transmission fluid. So you check your transmission fluid by pulling the dipstick out or reinserting it, pull it back out and check the level. If it's low, you're going to refill it in the same spot as you check the level as well. So you can just refill here. Right over here to my right side, we got a air filter. Obviously, coming into the air filter is the intake. But your air filter is not cracked, bent, or broken. All bolts are present, and it's properly mounted and secured to the vehicle. Okay, now that's pretty much everything we can do on the outside of the bus. And we're going to go ahead and tell the examiner at this point we're going to check the side of the bus, or excuse me, got ahead of myself. We've already checked the side of the bus. On the other side, it's exactly the same. Would you like me to repeat myself, or go ahead and move on to the in-cab inspection? And they're going to tell you to move on, hopefully, if you did everything correctly. They do tell you in the instructions, I want you to do a thorough examination of the vehicle. I want you to touch, point, or grab to each part. I want you to go down one complete side of the vehicle, and anything you say on one side, you don't have to repeat on the other. So they do already tell you this. The only reason I like you to ask, just in case you get a nicer examiner, he may say, well, go ahead and do it again, because, you know, for whatever reason, that's kind of an indication for you that you missed something. So that's why I say, would you like me to repeat myself, or just move on to the in-cab? Some will come back with a little smart aleck type remark, maybe say, oh, do it the way you were trained, or you want me to refer back to the instructions. That's letting you know, just move on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead from this point and go to the inside of the bus. And be sure, no matter what you do, if an examiner asks you if you're finished, you're not finished until everything is done and complete 100%. Wait till your in-cab's done, everything's done. They have been known to fail people. They've been asked, are you finished with your pre-trip? You think he means the walk around. No, he just, it's a trick. You're not done until you're done. So now, since we've already done the door, before we walk in, we're going to check our steps. Make sure our steps are clearly marked. Which right here, watch your step, clearly marked. The matting is secured. All screws are present. And there's no obstructions, no oil nor grease present. And we're going to walk on inside the bus. As soon as you walk in, a lot of people like to get the safety equipment when they're behind the seat. I'm a big fan of just getting it out of the way here, because it's right here. So as soon as I walk in, I'm looking at my fire extinguisher, fully charged and up to date. That's a 10 BC fire charger. Did I say charger? Fire extinguisher is fully charged and up to date. That's a 10 BC. We got our 3 reflective triangles, and then we have 3 fuses, or extra fuses, just in case we might need them. However, this bus works off a circuit breaker, so I don't think we'll be using them. After you get that done, you can look down your aisles, make sure that they're clear and clean, no loose items, no trash or debris that may roll forward and get under the driver's feet. So all the aisles are clean and clear. Now I'm going to go ahead and check my seats. As I come through, I'm going to hit each seat, and I'm going to say I'm checking all my seats. They're properly mounted and secured to the vehicle. No missing bolts, no missing hardware, and they're all secure. Just go down and run your hands down both sides. It's a little hard for me because I'm holding the phone. Okay, once you get to the very last set, you'll look on the floor. Right here, you'll look on the floor. If I were to remove this panel, this is where I'm going to find my air compressor. My air compressor and my air compressor governor. The air compressor is not cracked, bent, or broken. I hear no leaks, all bolts are present, and is belt driven. My air compressor governor cuts in at 100, cuts out at 125, and the hoses are not cracked, dry rotted, or broken. I don't see any or hear any leaks from those as well, or the governor. Okay, so once you're done with that, now keep in mind you don't have to remove that panel. I just want to point that out, that you do talk about your air compressor right there. So at this point, we have to check our emergency exits. Okay, we got a couple. Here in the back, we have an emergency exit. You're going to say it's clearly marked with no alarms, and it opens and closes properly. Okay. Then you can pick a window, it doesn't really matter, pick any, and say I'm checking my emergency exit windows. They're clearly marked with no alarms, and they open and close properly. And you're going to open one and then close it, and then you're going to say I would check all the windows exactly the same way. So you only have to check one, and that'll get you off of doing every individual. Now once we come up here to the front again, we have another emergency exit, and this one is clearly marked with no alarms, and again opens and closes properly. It's not sticking or binding. Okay, no alarms, opens and closes properly, clearly marked. Make sure you say that. From this point, we got our storage compartment, our luggage compartments up top, and we're going to have to check one of these. So we'll open it, close it, make sure you say it opens and closes properly. It's not sticking or binding. The hinges are not sticking or binding. And I would check them all exactly the same way. Okay? And that's about it. That's about it for the entire pre-trip except for the in-cab inspection, which we'll do here in a couple seconds. So make sure you stay tuned.